say tolerant because they're cowards, but the truth is this. If your interpretation of God and the world was right, I don't believe God would allow you to sit there and be such a f***ing coward.
In June 2022, Andrew Tate stood in front of a camera and called Christianity a cowardly religion, mocked the Pope, said the faith was a joke nobody respected anymore. 4 months later, he was photographed praying inside a mosque in Dubai. 3 months after that, he walked into a Romanian courtroom, under investigation on some of the most serious charges a person can face, holding a copy of the Quran. So what actually happened in between? And what happens when the man who built an empire on winning loses control of the one thing he can't fight, buy, or talk his way out of? Before we get into it, hit subscribe and smash that like button. This story gets stranger the deeper you go.
I agree with Andrew Tate when he said Christians are cowards. Don't judge Christianity based on Christians. Judge Christianity based on the author, the owner, Jesus. Let me see what you're going to do, Andrew Tate.
Here's the timeline almost nobody puts together. Tate was raised inside the church, baptized into the Romanian Orthodox tradition as a child in Luton, England. At some point he walked away entirely, calling himself an atheist for years. Then, in the mid-2010s, while building his life in Romania, he drifted back toward Orthodox Christianity. And then, in October 2022, while Romanian prosecutors were actively building a case against him, he announced he was Muslim. 3 religious identities in under a decade, with the timing of the last one lining up almost perfectly with the moment his freedom was on the line. Tate has always insisted the conversion was sincere, a genuine search for truth. But a former member of his own marketing team later told reporters a different story, that Tate openly discussed adopting Islam because it would open doors with wealthy clients in Dubai and reach an audience of nearly 2 billion people he hadn't tapped yet. Faith, or a rebrand timed to a court date? That question sits underneath everything that follows. To understand why this matters, you need to understand what Tate built. Born in Washington, D.C. in 1986, he became a 4-time world kickboxing champion before pivoting to social media, eventually amassing close to 10 million followers and becoming, by 2023, the 3rd most Googled person on Earth. His business empire, Hustlers University, later rebranded The Real World, reportedly pulled in millions of dollars a month from young men paying for lessons in wealth and masculinity. The whole brand ran on one idea: winning at everything, always. Tate didn't leave Christianity quietly. He spent years attacking it on camera, by name. In one widely viewed clip, he said Christianity had become a dead religion confined to history books, accused church leaders of preaching nothing they believed, and said the institution let itself be mocked without fighting back. In another interview, he argued Christianity tolerates everything and stands for nothing, while claiming Islam was the only faith left willing to defend itself with real consequences. He even said he could walk through London wearing a shirt insulting Jesus and nothing would happen. But doing the same regarding Islam's prophet, he claimed, would get him killed before he reached the end of the street. Notice what he's actually praising there: not theology, not truth, force. That's the whole argument. By his own admission, Tate hadn't read the Bible cover to cover. He was building a religious critique on instinct, not study, and critics on both sides of the divide noticed immediately. Then the walls started closing in. In December 2022, Romanian police arrested Andrew and his brother Tristan, along with 2 women, on suspicion of human trafficking. By June 2023, prosecutors formally charged all 4 with trafficking and forming an organized criminal group built around what investigators called the lover boy method. Fake romantic relationships used to manipulate women into producing content for profit. Authorities seized close to $4 million in assets, 15 cars, more than 10 properties, watches, cash, frozen accounts. If you were one of Tate's millions of young followers watching your hero get raided by organized crime investigators, would that make you ask harder questions, or dig in deeper? And here's where it gets strange. While still publicly Muslim, and while his criminal case kept expanding, Tate posted something in 2024 that stopped a lot of people cold. He said he was glad to see a Christian resurgence, called Christ King, and prayed Christianity would regain its strength against what he called moral decline, without ever recanting Islam. He didn't apologize for mocking Christianity. He just started using it again, the second it was useful. The legal case kept growing regardless. In August 2024, Romanian police raided 4 of his properties and expanded the investigation to include trafficking minors and money laundering. In May 2025, the UK's Crown Prosecution Service filed 21 separate criminal charges against the brothers, tied to alleged incidents between 2012 and 2015. 21 charges. Read that again. This isn't one accusation, it's a list. Tate's response stayed consistent throughout. He called it a conspiracy, labeled it lawfare, and insisted he was being persecuted for his politics, not his conduct. He has denied every charge. On February 27, 2025, after Romanian authorities lifted his travel restrictions, Tate boarded a private jet and landed in Florida, leaving an active case behind him, but not closed. For a man whose identity ran on being untouchable, it was a strange kind of victory. Free to travel, still legally tied to a courtroom 3,000 miles away. Is leaving a country mid-investigation a win, or just a longer way of waiting for the same outcome? In September 2025, prosecutors dropped one set of UK charges tied to 4 accusers, citing insufficient evidence, a real moment of vindication for Tate and his supporters. But 21 other UK charges remained standing. By March 2026, Hertfordshire police had reopened their original 2014-2015 investigation, the same case that triggered his very first arrest years earlier. A month later, a Romanian court lifted the remaining judicial controls on both brothers, removing requirements like regular police check-ins, but the underlying case and the expected British extradition stayed firmly in place. Every time it looks like the story is closing, it opens a new door instead. Then, in May 2026, Romanian prosecutors opened yet another investigation, this time for inciting hatred and discrimination. So where does that leave things right now? Tate is currently free of preventive restrictions, living largely in the United States, while still facing active proceedings in 2 countries and at least 1 new investigation opened in just the last few weeks. No conviction has ever been entered against him, and he denies all of it. The accusers who came forward years ago are still waiting for a verdict. The promised British extradition is still pending Romania's case concluding first. And in a strange twist, the same UK police force now reinvestigating the original case is itself under a separate watchdog inquiry over how it handled that case the first time. 3 years in, almost nothing about this story is closed, including the question of what Tate actually believes. Here's what's worth sitting with. Tate built his entire worldview around one rule, that strength means never bending, never apologizing, never losing. He left Christianity, by his own account, because he saw weakness in grace, in tolerance, in turning the other cheek. But the version of strength he chased instead, untouchable, unaccountable, always winning, has spent 3 years colliding with court dates, asset seizures, and new investigations he can't outrun. The Christian idea he mocked the loudest, that real strength starts with admitting how weak you actually are, might be the one thing his entire framework was never built to survive. What do you think? Is this a fall, or just the cost finally arriving? Let me know in the comments and subscribe for more stories like this one. If this story made you rethink what strength actually means, drop a comment and tell me where you stand. Hit subscribe so you don't miss the next one, and smash that like button if you want more stories like this.